Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Sessions with Kat. Happy end of the week. I don't know for y'all, but for me, it's been a loaded past 2 weeks because I started a new job and training is just, it's a lot. It's wonderful, but it's a lot. But welcome back. I hope you guys are all doing well. You've stayed hydrated. You've been doing what you need to do to work on yourself, better yourself, so on and so forth. And here we are. We're back with another chit chat and deck walkthrough. Now, y'all, I had this deck sitting up there and didn't know it. I guess that should tell y'all like how many like oracle cards and tarot cards that I have, because I totally fucking forgot I bought this deck. That should tell you, okay? And I bought it for a reason. It's because of the owl on the front, but like totally forgot I fucking had it. But here we are. We're gonna walk through it. This is brand spanking new. I haven't even seen all the cards yet. That's how new this deck is. Like I haven't even, like I think it came this way or there was plastic on it and I took the plastic off. That is the extent of what I did to this deck. Okay, so we gonna walk through it together. So this week, what are we chit-chatting about? Well, I want to really focus on self-reflection and self-realization. And honestly, like, you know, I think this is like a mix between what Spirit wants me to talk about and what I want to talk about as well, because I've been doing a lot of that over the past month and a half, is really coming to know myself on a greater, deeper level. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But first, the updates. So all of February sales are listed on Instagram. But in case you're not on Instagram, I will put them in the description below. And I will also put a link where you can go ahead and, sign up for any of my services. Should you want to, or should you want to send the link to a friend? Okay, I'll put it down in the description box. And I think moving forward, I'm going to do that with all of my monthly sales. That way no one misses out and, I don't feel like I'm excluding anybody. So I think going forward, that's what I'm going to do. And if you have any questions, you can always email me or you can send me a message on Instagram. And if you know me in real life, I have my phone number, you can do that too. So that's that. And yeah, that's like the only fucking update. But welcome back. Let's talk about it because it's all a part of mindfulness, right? Let me do the zoom me out thing so you can actually fucking see and then not be like all the way up in your face. Let's talk about that because this is something, let's get back to the topic at hand, I should say. Self-reflection and self-realization. And this is something that has been coming up in conversations between, me and Spirit, or Spirit and I, however you want to put if the grammar police are out there, between myself and friends, myself and clients, even myself and my new coworkers, right? Self-reflection has been like the topic of every discussion as of late. And I think it's important that I share with you all because I think that's that is what shadow work is. It is self-reflection, self-realization, and self-recovery, right? Does that mean you have to do it all alone? No. And we'll get into that, but let's start, right? Again, this deck is brand new. That means the cards are in order. You're welcome. Because, normally I have to put the cards in order. All right, so we got a chunker for a book. It's nice and, plain. I didn't mean to say it that way. I'm so sorry. Let me rephrase that. There's no pictures inside of here. So if you're going to go in here thinking you're going to see a picture of the card, you're wrong. Okay, and if you end up purchasing this deck, I purchased this directly from Miss Ma'am here. This Miss Ma'am here, I purchased it directly from her website. You could also purchase this on Hay House. Okay, but I know for a fact where I got this from because I checked. And if I'm correct, I think I paid more for it through her website versus Hay House, but I think I purchased it before it was released on Hay House. I think I went from her email link, so I think I paid more for it. So if you want to pay less, Amazon, Hay House, do it that way, or your local metaphysical store or bookstore, because they're going to have it too. All right, so there you go. There's your plain Jane little book. So there's that. So let's dive into this. And I think this is, well, you know what? In a way, it's a good reason I'm going through the tarot deck, because you can use the tarot deck for self discovery, self-realization, self-reflection. You can use it for that, right? And I'm doing the zoomies in so you guys can see these cards, because, what's the point in watching if you can't see the fucking cards, right? So let's talk about it, because I don't know how deep this conversation is going to be, or if I need to put it on the podcast, right? But we're going to talk. We're going to talk. So what exactly is self-realization in terms of self-discovery and self-reflection? It is, in essence, shadow work. What is shadow work? Well, that's you opening up that Pandora's box of yours inside to get to the divine. You're you're exploring your own shadows to get to the core of your being. Okay, that is the simplest way to describe what shadow work is, right? But you can use the tarot to do shadow work, and it would make it easier for some of you if you do the Fool's Journey, which is the major arcana. So every day, for 22 days, day 0, day 1, you'll go through all the major arcana, and you can use the minor arcana if you want to, but it's mainly the major arcana, and you can use that to kind of face your shadows, right? And by self-realization, I'm going to use these terms interchangeably because that's what I'm talking about here, okay? So nobody gets confused and I don't have to keep trying to correct myself. So with self-reflection comes clarity. It comes clarity of the self, clarity of what's outside of you, clarity of what's behind you, clarity of what's coming, right? You get a little bit more mental clarity, right? And just so you guys know, these are the backs. Pretty fucking cute, if you ask me. So with that comes release. With that comes healing. And no, you do not relive the situation unless, this is one little asterisk next to it. You're one of those people who is highly sensitive to their trauma. I hope that makes sense. If you're one of those people who are highly sensitive to the trauma that you endured, and every time you touch it, you relive it, okay? There are some people like that, and those of you who are that way, I highly recommend that you work directly with someone, one-on-one, to help you move through all of those shadows, okay? I'm just gonna put that out there, okay? So with that, you get to uncover your gifts. With that, you get to uncover your weaknesses. With that, you get to uncover your strengths, right? You get to uncover so much about yourself that became hidden by all the shadowy parts, right? But it's letting go of the attachment to those traumatic experiences, is letting go of your attachment to the actual shadow, if that makes sense. So let's give an example. Self-reflection is, say, if you're like me and you've been a victim of childhood sexual abuse, right? Let's just put it in that terms. When you're doing shadow work, self-reflection, self-discovery, you're looking at your past or at that trauma objectively. There is no bias. You're removing the bias so that the healing can take place. Because you have to remember, your pain's attached to that actual event, right? But that event is no longer occurring. What's occurring is your attachment to that event, that feeling, those emotions, those memories, everything that you've attached to that event, that experience, that is what is occurring. That is the part that you have to go, can I detach myself from this? Doesn't mean you need to forget, right? It means you need to detach your emotional, right, from that situation, if that makes sense, right? And that is so fucking hard to do when you look at how long the trauma survived. Like how long, I shouldn't say survived, how long the trauma went on, how long you've been holding on to it, right? It's hard to detach yourself, but it is doable. And that is part of shadow work, right? In my terms, in what I do, right? And what I work with my clients. Self-discovery means detachment emotionally and sometimes mentally from the bullshit, right? From the shadows. And when you do that, you now have that power back within you. You now have more stability than you did prior to detachment, okay? So in self-discovery, you, in essence, discover detachment from the bullshit. So it's basically you going, this occurred. This event occurred. And what I gained from it was this. You don't mark it good or bad. It's just what you've gained from it, the lesson, right? And what I could leave, what I could detach myself from is the pain, is letting go of that pain. And in that, you discover your strengths. You discover who you truly are and how you really, like your purpose, right? That's what self-discovery is. That's what shadow work is you're discovering your highest divine purpose by detaching from all the things that pull you away from it. So holding on to the pain, like the emotional aspect of your trauma, will keep you further away from where you're meant to go. And sometimes in the midst of self-discovery, you might find yourself healing from certain ailments, right? Because certain ailments popped up because you refuse to let go of the pain. So the pain stored in your body, right? So kind of keep that in mind, right? But with self-discovery, once you've moved past that point of detachment, you now open up, I shouldn't say open up because your third eye is already open. Sometimes it's blocked, sometimes it's cloudy, but it's always open. Okay, I'm just gonna put it like that. Nobody's third eye is fucking closed. I hate that shit. It's not fucking closed, okay? It's open. It's just it can be cloudy, blocked, a little muddy, whatever, but it's not closed. Okay, you can have rips and tears in the third eye where it causes it to leak energy into other chakras and kind of disrupt the balance of other chakras, but it's never closed. Okay, so when you're doing self-discovery, self-realization, self-reflection, shadow work, your third eye expands, right? And then this is where you start to realize you got some fucking gifts. okay? You got some gifts. And then you get to use those gifts to first help yourself. Does that make sense? You get to use those gifts to help yourself first. Then you help others. And I hope I've made myself clear. You use your gifts to help yourself, then help others. You can't do anything with an empty cup. Okay? So whenever I'm doing energy work on anybody, hell, even before I sit with a client, even if they're just doing one of my soulful sessions where it's just like they just want to vent or whatever, I check myself. I will check myself before I go into it, because what use am I if I haven't done anything to get myself balanced and then I'm trying to help somebody else get balanced? That don't make no goddamn sense, right? So you always help yourself, then you help others, okay? That does not make you selfish. No, 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 no. That's a form of self-care. And I encourage everybody to do it. I encourage everybody to do it. Oh, that's a nice star. That is a nice star. You know, deer can symbolize practicing self-care, like being graceful with yourself. And that's what shadow work is you being graceful enough with yourself to say, hey, I'm going to release this bullshit because I no longer want to hold it. And I want to be better than I was yesterday. I want to be better than I was 30 minutes ago. So I'm going to release, right? I'm going to fully let go. Doesn't mean you got to get rid of the memory. You're going to always have your memories, right? But you can let go of that fucking pain. And that's the first step, right? The second step is allowing yourself to overstand the shadow. And by that, I mean allowing yourself to not just understand what took place, but also understanding why you played a role in that, right? Don't beat yourself up, because I get people who try to do that either. You do that too. Don't do that, okay? Because I'll knock you upside your head if you're in front of me and you trying to blame yourself for something. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you to see the greater purpose in what you could do because of what happened, right? How can you take that negative and make it into a positive, not just for yourself, but for others, right? So for me, having childhood sexual abuse, right, and just sexual abuse, right, in general, I can now help clients who are victims of that, and show them that they could do better, they could be better, they could feel better, they can find their confidence again, they can find love within themselves again. They don't have to beat themselves up, they don't have to feel small, right? They can find that, right? So even though it's complete bullshit that you go through, that's a nice sun, y'all. I ain't gonna lie, that's a nice sun. It is a way to make your situation positive from the negative. But first, you have to let go of your attachment to that pain, the emotional attachment to that pain, okay? I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm making sense, because this is how Spirit's putting it to me, and that's how I'm putting it to y'all. So I hope I'm making sense. If you have questions, please put them in the comments, or like I said, you can email me or whatever and whatnot, okay? So that's kind of, the gist of like the first two steps in it. So these were the major cards. This is a great way to start self-discovery, self-reflection. Shadow work is to navigate the Fool's journey, and the Fool's journey starts here and it goes all the way to the end. Or, right, this deck, like the Witch's Wisdom deck, that one takes you from the world inside, so you can start from here and work your way here, right? Just depending on you, right? You can use any tarot deck so long as it's going to give you more raw, pure answers, not the, sugar-coated ones. Sometimes you don't need sugar-coated. You need a hard truth. So just kind of keep that in mind, okay? So the next phase of self-discovery, right, is learning that you are, instead of you are something, some noun, pronoun, whatever. It's just you are, right? It's taking away your attachment to the world and just kind of coming back home to yourself, if that makes sense. So, how can I say this? It's on an emotional level. So when someone say, "Oh, I am hurt," well, you're not hurt. You feel hurt, right? So it's rewording what you're saying, right? You're taking the emotional side of it and saying, "Listen, I acknowledge that there's a pain, but I don't have to own it." Does that make sense? That's part of self-discovery. The other part is just learning what really works for you, right? Sorry, I had to, you know how Apple products are. You say the wrong word and they think you talking to them. Anywho, it's learning to detach from things, to detach from people, and attach yourself to the divine within, and understanding that though there may be shit happening around you, that doesn't mean it's yours to carry. Doesn't mean that it's yours to own. You can observe, but you ain't gotta own it. And I hope and pray that y'all do not own any bullshit, because you don't need to. You know what I mean? Y'all, I just realized this is all fucking animals. This is all fucking animals again. An animal deck, because why I need another animal deck? I don't know. But that's part of self-discovery, right? Back on topic. That's part of self-discovery, is learning that you are. You can say that you are love, because that is the divine. God is love, however you define that for yourself, right? You can, a lot of people say, what you put after I am matters a lot. It does. It really does, because your whole entire body will own a pain simply because you decided to state it that way. Right? So if you walking around saying, "Oh, I feel old. I'm feeling busted and crippled and whatnot," your body gonna hold that. It's especially like if it's on repeat, right? Like you constantly repeating that, your body gonna hold it. And ain't gonna be mad because you always feeling like snap, crackle, and pop and all types of bullshit. Who got time for that? Right? Sometimes it's understanding that in order to get to your most beautiful core, is understanding that the divine resides within. So as long as you keeping the divine caged in a busted ass house, you ain't gonna ever feel it. Right? You're not gonna walk in that energy the way you would like to, if that makes sense, right? So please keep that in mind as you're walking through your own shadow work and learning different behaviors and new thought patterns, right? And practicing mindfulness and whatnot. Please keep in mind what you say to yourself. It matters. It matters big time, okay? I don't want you guys just out here talking to yourself all willy-nilly. You get what I'm saying? I would hate that for y'all, you know what I mean? So there's that. Now, I'm trying to I guess Spirit wants me to put this all in a nutshell, because I guess, self-reflection, shadow work, whatever, it's different for each person. It's not, you can't tailor, that's why I don't tailor my program, my Walking Home Barefoot. People ask me all the time, they're like, "Oh, if you did it as group," I could, but each person is different. right? And I do offer it as a group, but each person is different. The way you encounter shadow work and self-discovery, or whatever you would like to call it, is different from the next person. You're not the same person. So how dare I create a, a box for everybody to fit in and be like, if you just follow this pattern, you'll be good, right? No, the fuck you won't, because that pattern doesn't work for everybody, right? Everybody has their own vibration. That's one of the reasons why, like, when people ask me, like, oh, everybody's aura is generally the same colors. No, the fuck it's not. That's your chakra colors. Yeah, sure, that one, those colors, everybody has those colors, right? But your soul processes shadow work differently, and that's a whole different color than your chakra colors that illuminate off your body, right? So when people go and get the what's that, get the picture of their aura, pictures and shit at events, that's a snapshot of your chakras, like the energy that they're emitting. In order to see the color of the soul, somebody got to have a special eye to see that, right? And there's I only know a handful of people who can see soul colors, but that's why it's important that you don't think that you need to do the same thing somebody else is doing, right? Just because, everybody be signing up for programs and they'll be like, here, download my workbook. I ain't got no workbook. There is no way for you to practice shadow work and self-reflection if you're following the same workbook as somebody else, thinking you're going to get the same results that everybody else did. Half them people be fucking lying. Ooh, elephants. Don't judge me. Don't judge me, okay? Don't judge me. Y'all knew when I saw these elephants I was going to say that. I just happened to look down. Everybody's different. So the way you process shadow work is going to be totally different than the next person. So you got to understand this, when you're working on shadow work, you don't have to walk alone. That's not in anybody's divine plan. Some people can work through their shadows alone, and kudos to them, right? Because that shit's hard, okay? But you might not be meant to work your shadow work alone. That might not be your purpose. You might need a mentor for a little bit. You might need a life coach. You might need a therapist. You might need help. And I don't want you to be afraid to ask for it simply because you think that person can help you. You have to just, navigate towards whoever gives you the right vibration, right? I ain't everybody's cup of tea. And nor will I applaud, put myself on that pedestal like, everybody love me. No, they don't. They ain't got to either, right? But whoever you vibe with, that's who you should seek to work with, okay? If they can get on the same rhythm as you and help you navigate, your self-discovery and whatnot, do that, right? I want you to do that. I want you to explore it, because everybody needs to feel, welcome when they're working with somebody, and know that they're, that whoever you're working with doesn't treat you and the next person the same. Y'all two different people, right? And so long as your whoever you're working with knows that, then self-discovery will be a little bit easier for you. I'll put it that way, right? So, so far, any of y'all got some favorite cards? I mean, you already know which card I was happy with. The Six of Cups was nice because it had the elephants on it. But I like all of the cards. These are matte. Let me talk about these cards real quick before I continue this discussion. These are like a matte finish, so there's no glare, which is absolutely wonderful. And it almost, it's not like velvety or trying to think of what that word is. It's not velvet or anything like that, but it's got like a nice like paper feel, but not quite just paper, if that makes sense. So they're nice, right? The quality is wonderful. I'm here for it. Let me just tell you that. And I feel like these would be an easy shuffle too, like a riffle shuffle. Why is the Three of Swords? Like, somebody come up with a better Three of Swords, please. It doesn't always have to be 3 fucking swords or whatever going through a heart. It doesn't always have to be that. It could be the brain, because the swords is actually air, which is mental, which is thought. Like, can somebody use the brain instead of the goddamn heart? Don't judge me. Don't judge me, y'all. Anywho, back to what I was saying. So with shadow work, self-discovery, I encourage any and everyone that as you're working through it, to make sure that you're keeping yourself open to whatever gifts come up, to whatever shows up in your meditations or your prayer or in your daily life. Pay attention to those small little things and the big things, right? Because you never know how spirit's going to work for you, right? You never know how the divine in you is going to start attracting all the right things. You're going to go, hey, I remember I did this and now I'm attracting this. That's part of manifesting. So when you're doing shadow work, you're unlocking your manifestation, line. You bringing shit towards you, right? But as long as you keep the bullshit there, guess what? You're gonna keep bullshit coming, right? That's a nice card. I like that. So artwork's pretty nice. I like it. But, keep that in mind, that you are also working on your manifestation skills when you're working on shadow work, okay? Like, that's a biggie. That is a biggie. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, coming back to this deck, I done seen, a handful of cards with snakes on them. And normally, y'all know me, I don't do snakes. But this don't feel so bad, if that makes sense. You know how some snake cards just give you the jeebies and you just like, we won't be working with this deck. I can work with this deck. It's it's more balanced snake energy, which I am here for. Because normally, snake cards, I'll be like, yep, burn it. You know what I mean? Like, I know that sounds horrible, but like, I'm not going to burn my cards, but like, I won't use a deck if I don't like that card. And so, I think I can use this deck. I mean, I only have a handful of animal decks that have snakes in them that I don't mind the snake card. There are some where I'm just like, not today. You know what I mean? So there's that. So if you guys have any questions about shadow work or whatnot, or, just kind of want some guidance on how to get started or whatnot, don't be afraid to reach out. Okay, because I want you guys to know that, yeah, I run a business, but that don't mean I can't answer your fucking question. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't stuck up like that. I ain't closed off like that. Like, oh, I'm gonna charge you $1. No, I'm not fucking charging you to answer a goddamn question. I want to make sure that you guys have whatever it is you need to kind of go in the direction that you need to go in so that you can begin your journey, if that makes sense. So just wanted to put that out there. This woman likes some owls, don't she? Ooh, that's a good one. I would have never thought of Taurus energy, like the bull energy for a 6 of Pentacles, but hey. And then we got spiders. Of course we got fucking spiders. But seven of Pentacles is all about working your skills, showing off your skill set. So that'll do. That'll do. If you have a aversion to like this type of pattern, I'm sorry. I should have told y'all to look away. But, here we are, because it's a bee and it's the hive. Some people don't like seeing that type of pattern. Okay. So yeah, that's today's discussion, or tonight's, this evening's, whatever. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's Friday. It's the end of the week. Don't judge me. Judge your mama. We gonna have a good weekend. That's what we're going to do. But in conclusion, self-reflection is one of those things that a lot of people get mixed definitions on, because self-reflection, self-discovery, self-realization, shadow work, it's all the same thing. So is practicing mindfulness. All of it is moving out the bullshit, detaching yourself from the pain, learning the lesson, taking it and making it into something useful, and allowing the divine part of you to really shine. That is what shadow work really is. At least that's what Spirit is telling me, okay? That being said, right, because I'm going to leave it on this good King of Pentacles here because I like the card. That being said, do what you need to do for you, okay? What I'm stating here is simply what Spirit is telling you and what I've learned from, working on myself and with clients, okay? It is not facts. Everything is subject to whatever your mind will let it be subjective to, okay? So just understand that moving forward. Also, stay hydrated, okay? Because some of y'all ain't been drinking y'all water, and I know, all right? And make sure you're eating balanced meals, okay? The coffee is not a meal. Just putting that out there. Coffee is not a meal. Neither is a fucking donut. You need a balanced meal, okay? Please and thank you. I appreciate it, all right? And I wish you all a wonderful weekend, despite wherever you are with the weather. I hope your weekend is beautiful, and I wish you all the brightest of blessings. Bye.